Hello and welcome to Used Car Heaven, the programme that helps you get behind the wheel of your next car. Now, despite the wonderful weather that we have in this country, we Brits just love our convertibles. We can't get enough of them, and we gobble up more than any other country in Europe, which is a bit weird, really. So we thought we'd pick the perfect day to test them out. A cold, wet, autumnal one. And if these don't fulfil their open-top thrills, John Slattery will offer up his own alternative drop-top. And yet again, our car doctor Simon Hughes is in his surgery to cure your car's mechanical problems.
Hi, my name's Sherry. I'm 26 years old. I'm a graphic designer from Manchester. I've got around £10,000 to spend on a convertible, just because I like the styling of them.
So with a £10,000 budget, there are certainly plenty of desirable cars to choose from. But what will she think of our first car? We start with the UK's best-selling convertible. Wearing one of the most emotive badges in British motor history, fans were overjoyed when this car was launched in 1995. With over 30 years between the MGB and this, the MGF, it had been a long wait. Now, there's no doubt, Sherry, that this is an out-and-out sports car.
Yeah.
Really is, isn't it? I mean, it's a two-seater, it's very pure, it's a little bit sort of rough at the edges as well, don't you think?
Yeah, I feel really sporty in it.
You feel everything.
Really good.
You feel everything in this car, don't you?
Yeah.
You're sat low.
I can feel the road, every single
everything that's
bump.
going on underneath, can't you?
Yeah. I feel a bit of a poser in it.
It's also
actually
got a nice exhaust note as well, isn't it? Yeah?
Yes.
And
I like the sound of that.
And it's pretty quick off the mark. I mean, it's a light car. It's not a tremendously powerful car in terms of how much horsepower is in the engine.
No.
But it's lightweight, and that means it goes pretty well. As I think you can see.
It puts a smile on my face anyway.
That's the main thing. That's the great thing with open-top motoring. It's got to put a smile on your face, isn't it? So what about friends? What about the boyfriend? How do you think?
I can fit him in, no problem. I just have to not have any mates.
Transport for your mates?
I just have to get rid of all my mates.
Make their own way there. The MGF was launched in 1995, over 30 years after the previous sports car, the MGB. The fans loved it, and it quickly became the UK's best-selling convertible. Originally launched with a 1.8 and a more rapid 1.8 variable valve-timed engine mounted in the middle of the car for better weight distribution and superb handling. Under BMW's control, the MGF sat in a difficult position, seen by the men from Munich as a threat to their own Z3. Under an independent MG Rover, the F became the more aggressive-looking TF. So, why should you buy an MGF? Well, although the first MGFs weren't as engaging to drive as something like a Mazda MX-5, the handling was sure-footed, the ride was comfortable, and the VVC engine models were actually quite fast. The first Fs are actually nearly 9 years old now, but I think that their design has actually held up quite well. They still look better on the road than something like the dated BMW Z3. And this MG badge on the front means something. It represents over 80 years of British sporting car heritage. An MG, there's something very special about it. So what should you be paying for a good MGF? Prices start as low as £3,000 for an early 1995 car, rising to over £13,000 for one of the last 2002 cars before the TF was introduced. For her money, Sherry should be able to afford a good 2000 1.8 or a slightly older but still sound VVC model. But let's find out what Sherry thought about the MGF. Well, Sherry, that is a sweet car, isn't it, the MG?
Really
Very
nice.
smart. You like that, don't you?
Yeah, it sounds great and it looks great.
I could tell as soon as you got in it, you had a big smile on your face and you're thinking, this could be the right sort of car for me.
I fit it as well, it's snug.
Not too big,
Yeah.
but the interior is a bit of a letdown, isn't it?
It's just the dashboard. The dashboard just doesn't go with the rest of the car.
It's too dated, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs a bit of a revamp, I think.
Apart from that, it's a good value for money sports car.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, really
That's
nice.
the first one out the way. You like it? Well, let's see which the second car is that we've got lined up for Sherry. This convertible may wear a mass-market badge, but it's actually designed and built by legendary Italian styling house Bertone. With 4 proper seats, there's plenty of space and a choice of 4 engines, from insurance-friendly 1.6 to a 200 brake horsepower 2-litre turbo. But let's find out what Sherry thinks of Vauxhall's Astra Cabriolet. Well, Sherry, what do you think of the looks of the Astra convertible? I think they've done a good job in the styling department with this.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
Yeah?
Usually the Astra's a bit boxy, you know, a bit mundane, but with the roof down, it's really nice.
And we've managed to get the roof down, even on a day like this, not a
Yeah.
perfect day. We're all wrapped up inside. We've got the heated seats on, we've got the heater on full blast.
The
But
heated seats are brilliant.
It does a good job though, doesn't it? You don't get much cold air into the cabin.
No, the front bit feel quite secluded.
I
but
think
the
probably
back,
if you were sat in the back, which has got 2 decent seats, I think
Yeah.
you'd probably feel it a little bit more, but it's quite snug in here. I mean, for your money, if you went for one of these, you get something that's well equipped, it's well built, it's comfortable as well, but it still drives pretty well. It has a bit of a sporty feel to it too.
Yeah, no, I do feel safe in it though. I don't find it so sporty, I must admit.
And I mean, a lot of cabriolets and convertibles suffer from the scuttle shake, you know, because they've cut the top off and there's a bit of flex in the body, but this feels very, very secure.
Yeah, I do feel really safe.
So if you went for this, you turned up at the pub on a nice summer's evening with all your friends sat outside and you turn up with the roof down, do you think they'd be very, very impressed?
Yeah, they'd probably think that was a right ponce, but you know, that's the idea, isn't it? I don't care.
The Astra Convertible has been around since the mid-80s. This model was launched in 2001 and is built with its coupe sister in Italy by Bertone. Available with 4 engines, 1.6, 1.8 and 2.2 litre petrol engines and a 200 brake horsepower 2 litre turbo that has since made its way into Vauxhall's very rapid VX220 sports car. So why should you buy an Astra Convertible? Well, in my opinion, this has always been an underrated car, and as a second-hand buy, it's an absolute bargain. For your 10 grand, you get something that's well equipped, comfortable, roomy and cheap to insure. Plus you can get all your friends in there. It's a true 4-seater to pose in the summer with the roof down. The Astra's always been a sharp handler. Chopping the roof off hasn't affected that at all. And when you do finally get that nice day in the summer, you can use your key fob to electronically open and close the roof from a distance. Very clever. So what should you be paying for a Vauxhall Astra Convertible? Prices start at around 8.5 grand for a 2001 1.8 litre model, rising to just under 14 grand for a 2002 52 plate 2.2 litre engine model. For her 10 grand, we think Sherry should be able to find a good 2001 1.8 litre car. Well, Sherry, you like the MG, do you like the Vauxhall Astra Convertible?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do. I just don't find it as sporty though.
No, it's not got that sort of raw sports car feel that you get with the MG.
No, a little bit safer. Handle's nice though.
It does.
Yeah,
it does
smooth,
go well. It does go
very
well.
smooth.
I mean, they do some great engines in this range as well, including a very powerful 2.2 turbo. So something like that would be really quick on the road. But this is sort of more comfortable, a bit more refined.
Yeah, not
Well-
as edgy.
No, but well built
Yeah,
and good value for money.
a lot of car for its money. I
So you
think.
like both those? You like the Astra and you like the MG. Well, let's see if you like this week's third and final car, which you'll get to drive in part 2. But before all of that, we need to head off to the surgery to see what our car doctor Simon Hughes is up to this week.
Today I'm telling you about an engine problem that affects all modern 16-valve engines, and basically it's sticking valves, and the valves are in the top part of the engine here. Now, symptoms of this are the fact that you may start your car up in the morning, back out of your drive, or drive down to the end of the street and the engine cuts out and will not start for love nor money. And by the time a mechanic has come out and checked it or whatever, it will suddenly start. Now, this is quite common on modern engines because they're made to such fine tolerances. If you miss a service or you don't fit the correct oil, it will cause you problems. Now, a way for you to diagnose if you've got these problems is quite simply to drive the car down the road in first gear and redline it right to the max on the rev counter, and then very quickly change into 5th gear and carry on driving. Now, if the car misfires and sort of messes around, you know you've got a sticking valve problem. If it just drives normally, then your problem lies elsewhere. Now, to actually repair it, you might get away with just a simple oil change or changing to the correct grade of oil. However, if that doesn't fix it, then you're going to have a major strip down, which is the cylinder head being taken off by the garage and thoroughly cleaned and stripped, and possibly some new bits and pieces fitted inside it. That's quite expensive, so hopefully that won't affect you. But just this is a major tip I'm going to give you now. If your car has got sticking valves, don't ignore it, because if you continue to drive it and it misfires and cuts out, you're actually allowing fuel to go down the exhaust, and that will contaminate your catalytic converter. So come MOT time, not only are you going to have your sticking valves fixed, but you're going to have to shell out another few £100 to repair your exhaust system, catalytic converter as well. So there you go, that's sticking valves, and hopefully it won't affect you.
So far on this week's Used Car Heaven, Sherry has driven the MGF and the Vauxhall Astra Convertible. And in part 2 of the programme, she'll be driving this week's third and final car, a true classic, which when it was new cost more than both of these two cars combined together. What could it possibly be? Curious? Join us in a couple of minutes to find out more. Hello and welcome back to Used Car Heaven. On this week's programme, we're looking for a new convertible for Sherry, who has around £10,000 to spend. She's already driven the Vauxhall Astra and the MGF. So let's find out which is our third and final car for her to try out. With my final convertible, we have another famous motoring name. Mention S and L together and you have a car that has had style lovers lusting after one for over 50 years. At this model's launch back in 1989, it immediately became the most technologically advanced car on sale. But what will Sherry think of the Mercedes SL? Now Sherry, our third and final car is something a little bit different. It's an older car, it's a lot older car, 13 years old, it's done 120,000 miles, but it's a Merc. It's an SL, it's the one everybody used to clamour over.
Really?
Well,
I don't remember.
Yeah, a real glamour car. What do you think?
From the outside, it still looks all right.
It still looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It doesn't
still
look
looks
bad.
good, yeah. It's still a bit square, you know.
It's kind of one of those cars that's just about getting into sort of classic territory, I think, in terms of its looks now.
Yeah. I find it a very long car as well, which I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, for parking and things like that,
Yeah.
it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy.
No, I know what you mean.
So that's a bit of a drawback.
But it's
for me.
smooth and it's comfortable.
It definitely is smooth.
And it has the added benefit of having a hard top or a soft top. So you've got the hard top which you put on in
yeah,
winter.
that's a bonus.
Take that off, store it away in the summer.
Two cars in one.
Perfect. Well, the thing with this, when it was new in 1990, astonishingly, this car cost £75,000.
It is. It's
500
a mad
SL,
amount of money.
300 brake horsepower you've got, V8 engine, bags of power, but I mean 75 grand, I mean it's a lot of money now, in 1990 it was a phenomenal amount of money.
I just think it's just that bit too old.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of how square it is.
So what would your boyfriend think if you came home in this?
You think you're trying to pose, but it's too old.
Put a private plate on it, nobody'd know what age it would be then.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah?
Yeah, everyone knows it's a G-Reg.
It's a G-Reg, yeah. The Mercedes SL is one of the most famous names in motoring. This is the fourth generation SL, a car whose roots date back to the legendary Gullwing 300 SL from the 50s. Back in 1989, this car really was a breakthrough. Traction control and self-leveling suspension were options at a time when most cars didn't even have electric windows. Available with a range of engines from 2.8 litre straight six to an enormous 6 litre V12. This generation SL was replaced in 2001 by the new model. So why should you buy a Mercedes SL? Well, you honestly can't buy a car with any more style than this for your £10,000. Now, the SL came from a time when Mercedes massively over-engineered their cars. This is over 10 years old, it's done 120,000 miles, but it's in fantastic condition, in fact better condition than many cars half its age. And if you're thinking that all the technology and the weight in this blunts its performance, it doesn't. The V6s are good on the road, but for even more rapid performance, you need to go for something like that, the 500 SL with a glorious V8, or even better, a 6 litre with the V12. This was a massively expensive car when new. Even the base 280 SL cost nearly 60 grand. So despite the fact you can now pick early cars up for under 10 grand, history and condition is everything. They may be reliable, but when something breaks, Merc specialists don't work for peanuts. Because of her age, we'd suggest Sherry stuck to the 280 or 300 SL models. She should be able to find one for around 10 grand with a bit of hunting. But let's find out what she thinks of the Mercedes SL. Well, Sherry, our third and final car, Mercedes-Benz SL. Some people say it's a classic, it's lovely, but most importantly, what would you say about it?
I'm not convinced. I don't like it. It's a bit boxy, Very dated.
13-year-old car, lovely 5-litre V8 engine under the bonnet, silky smooth.
It might drive nice, but the interior as well.
Cost 75 grand new, 10 grand now. Can I tempt you?
No.
No?
No, definitely
Too many
not.
things to go wrong, I suspect, on the car
too
like
much
this.
money if it does go
If
wrong.
it does go wrong, it's going to cost you big time.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. That's all 3 cars driven. Don't want your final decision just yet because we need to see what John Slattery has got lined up as this week's alternative car.
Audi set style-conscious hearts fluttering when they launched the gorgeous TT Coupe and Roadster in 1999. In 2003, Audi added 2 new models to the TT range. A front-wheel drive, 180 brake horsepower, previously only available on the continent, and a more powerful 3.2-litre V6 with enough power to startle even a Boxster. But you won't find used examples of these cars within our price range. The TT drives as well as it looks. Its 1.8 turbocharged engine will pump out either 180 or 225 brake horsepower, so you won't be embarrassed at the lights. This engine has pedalled many a Volkswagen Group car over the years, covering billions of miles, so I really don't think reliability will be a problem. You may have heard horror stories about stability. That problem affected only a few of the early UK cars and should have been fixed by a recall. But if you're still worried, get in touch with Audi to check the work has been done. The TT is as stylish on the inside as it is on the outside. Now the Coupe comes with a couple of very small seats for very small children, but the Roadster, well, it's strictly a 2-seater. So, if you're looking for a package full of fun, style, safety and performance, well, the Audi TT might be just the car for you.
Well, you've already driven the MG, the Vauxhall Astra and the Mercedes SL, but John Slattery thought as an alternative to those 3, you might be tempted by an Audi TT.
Yeah, I would be.
Coupe or Roadster?
Both.
Both? You don't mind?
No, the coupe probably.
The Coupe probably. Well, the only thing is, your budget of £10,000 probably wouldn't quite stretch to it. I think you need to spend a little bit more, about 12, and that would be for a left-hand drive one.
So I'd have to start saving,
wouldn't I? You'd have to start
I?
saving or go and see your friendly bank manager.
More debt?
More debt, but a good car, the TT.
Very.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you could be quite tempted by that.
Of course.
Okay, well, you've driven all 3 cars, but now we need to find out your final decision. Which one you're choosing? Well, Sherry, you were after a convertible with a budget of around £10,000. We've given you 3 to drive today, so we now want your final decision in 3, 2, 1. What are you going to place third?
The Mercedes.
The Mercedes SL. You can't be tempted by this.
No, I'm afraid not.
No.
It's too old, too dated.
Too past it.
Yeah.
And too expensive if things go wrong.
Yeah.
Shame. So third place for the Merc. What are you going to place second? I think this is probably a close decision.
It is a close one, you're
is
right. It's the Astra.
The Astra in second.
Yeah, I do like it.
Nice, comfortable, roomy, 4-seater convertible.
It's just not as exciting.
Not as exciting to drive as the car that you're going to put first, which is, I'm not surprised about this,
Really?
because you had a big smile on your face as soon as you got in it, the MG.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, love it.
Good, isn't it?
It looks the part, doesn't it?
Looks the part. If you can find a really nice one for 10 grand, 3 or 4 years old,
Snap it
you'd
up
be
in a
happy, would you?
second. Yeah.
Jump
really
in, we'll
happy.
take it out for a spin. Well, Sherry, you've driven all 3, you've made your final decision.
Yep.
You wanted the MG.
Yep,
So we thought we'd come out for another little spin. Just, give you another chance to have a quick blast
Yeah,
whilst it's
I'm
still
glad.
dry. Just to make sure you made the right decision. Are you happy with your decision?
Of course. Yeah, just for the engine note.
Just for the engine? It must be a bit more than that.
Of course, the look of it as well, the drive
the
of
way it
it, the
drives.
sportiness.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're happy?
Yeah, I've got a big smile on my
Big smile
face.
on your face, that's the main thing. Well, if you're interested in any of the 3 cars that we've tested today, the Astra, the Merc SL, or indeed the MG, here's what you need to look out for. In general, the Astra is pretty reliable, although some Ecotec engines were recalled because of faulty timing belt pulleys. Check with the dealer that this modification has been carried out, as failure could write the engine off. Like most soft tops, make sure you check the roof for any tears and wear, as these can be expensive to repair. As you would expect, the SL, like most Mercedes, are very reliable and solid. But if things do go wrong, expect hefty repair bills, as parts can be very expensive. The only real area to check apart from general condition is the car's mechanical roof. Some SLs have had problems, and if you're unlucky enough to end up with one, then the repair bill will leave you more than a tear in your eye. As the MG is a sporty little number, you can expect some used models to have had a hard life. Head gaskets are prone to failure, which, if unchecked, can lead to severe engine damage, while hood seals are also known to leak, and repairing them is not an easy job. Repairing clutches is a big job, so make sure you test drive them carefully. So on this week's Used Car Heaven, we offered Sherry 3 convertibles for her £10,000 budget. She liked the Vauxhall Astra Convertible, as do I, but despite its room and its well-built, solid feel, I think it's just a little bit too soft. I'd want something with a little bit harder edge, so we also offered her the MG, which she liked tremendously, and in the end chose it as her #1 car. I like this car too, but for me, I'm still drawn to that 3-pointed badge of the Mercedes-Benz SL. When you look at something like this, a 500 SL, which costs £75,000 new, and now with 120,000 miles on the clock, it could be yours for as little as 10 grand. If it was me, I'd be tempted to give this a go. That's it for this week's Used Car Heaven. Join us again at the same time next week.